My name is John Keeney, and I'm here today with my colleague Adam Shackman. We both work for Miami Kickers FC, which is a women's semi-pro soccer team in the WPSL. And the Kickers are pretty established from a soccer standpoint right now. They did win the division championship and make it all the way to the Final Four in 2009. But from a business standpoint, it's more or less a startup, and that's kind of what Adam and I were brought in to work on in the company. So what we want to talk to you about today are two IS projects that we really think would improve the functioning of the team from a business standpoint. What I want to talk about deals with statistics. Statistics are an extremely valuable source of information for a number of users in our organization, but they're also very time sensitive. And what I have in mind is basically a handheld, internet-connected, touchscreen device that one of us could have on the sidelines to track player statistics live during games. And that would be extremely useful because that information could then be transmitted to any users that needed it, whether it's another employee of the Kickers that has not traveled to the game, whether it's to our individual website, to the league's website, to media websites, to the Miami Herald to go into as a box score. Because basically we need to get this data to a bunch of different users as quickly as possible and in different formats. And the way we do things now, basically, somebody travels with the team, several hours on a bus to the game. We keep statistics with a pen and paper box score, and then return home, write up the story, format the statistics for all of the different outlets that need it, and by the time it's done, it's maybe a day after the game's actually been completed, which just really isn't cutting it. So I think even though this might seem like a small thing, I think it would make a huge, huge difference for us. First of all, as far as media interest, because, again, if we can get results to, for example, the Miami Herald within an hour of the game concluding, that's going to make them much more likely to give our games full coverage. And in turn, that's going to really help us as far as attendance because we'll have greater visibility in the community with that coverage. And it's going to make us much more attractive to potential sponsors because we can then offer them more exposure. So now I'm going to turn it over to Adam, who is going to talk to you about the other component of our IS plan for Miami Kickers. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Adam Shackman. As John mentioned before, I also work for the Miami Kickers FC. And in soccer, there's a lot of subjective opinions when it comes to substitutions, movement on the field, touches on the ball, and a lot of the coaches' decisions are purely subjective. And I propose using smart chip technology that actually exists right now to track player movement on the field, biometrics of these players like heart rate, body temp, blood pressure, oxygen consumption, and use these smart chips to decide if a player is ready to come off, if the player is forming up to the potential, what is the scenario of the game, do they need a substitution or not. And it's possible to do these all due to smart pills that have been introduced into NFL teams that only track, for example, heart rate. But if we combine all these things, our soccer coaches can make proper decisions during game time. Now, if anyone has watched the World Cup, they notice that a lot of substitutions happen in the 65th to 70th minute. But these substitutions are based purely on subjective qualities, like, I feel like this player's tired, he waved to me, but in reality, with a smart chip, you could actually tell, is this person still moving over the field like they used to? Is this person's heart rate still in the perfect zone? Is this person's oxygen consumption lower or above what they should be at? All these things would help a coach make actual objective decisions. And it's also a positive experience for substitutions. For example, is the substitute ready to go on? For example, you are supposed to have a 2-degree increase in body temperature before you compete in any rigorous activity. So this will be a perfect way to actually quantitatively find out the direct numbers of a person's body temp to make sure they're ready to go on. Also, if we have this smart chip, you could use any previous game or previous practice statistic for these players. So, for example, if player A performs well at a temperature of 100 degrees, a heart rate between 130 and 160, and maximizes his movement on the field, you could compare this to, say, him playing in a game where he wasn't moving. His heart rate was below his prime area. His movement on the field, as I mentioned, was smaller than usual. All these things would be very objective. Then a coach can make proper decisions. For our project, as you can tell, it's very, very large and expansive. That's why we're splitting this into a two-person thing. John, as he said, is going to go over statistics. I'll be going over, for example, quantitative substitutions and things like that with biometrics. And thank you very much for your time.